The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. I'm moving on to the first part, which is entitled The Divine Kiss. They say that to err is human, to forgive is divine, and sets the tone for the kind of love that we are talking about in this book. The love which forgives, which receives, and does not take offence at anything, and is constant and continuous. So, reading again, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine, because of the fragrance of your good ointments. Your name is ointment poured forth. Therefore the virgins love you. Draw me away, we will run after you. This is very interesting because immediately in the first verse we're into a verse which is highly controversial and could be misinterpreted, but it helps us to realize that we interpret this book in the light of what the other scriptures say. And the verse in the New Testament that most corresponds to this is Ephesians 1:17. I pray, therefore, that God will impart to you a spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of Him. Who's Him? Is Jesus. So the cry is for wisdom and revelation in the understanding and knowledge of Jesus, so that we might know Him more and more, and therefore love Him more and more. So let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. This is the impartation of revelation from his lips to our spirit. Now, this is very important to understand. This is a biblical view of man. A biblical view of man is that we are spirit, soul and body. And the spirit is that part which God is able to touch directly by His Spirit. So the kisses of His Spirit is where He kisses us with His Spirit, kisses our spirit, and we have understanding imparted to us which is beyond a mental level. We have light and understanding that our minds haven't grasped, and we then have to work out what's the theology. And obviously there's a need for the individual to discern what is from God and what is not from God, for which he uses in his mind. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. The picture moves a bit here. He's kissing us in the spirit with the kisses of his mouth, the things that he wants to say. And in that we perceive the love of God poured out to us. That when we receive revelation from God, there's an impartation of who he is along with what he's saying. And so we taste the love of God and we cry, your love is better than wine. Now, this is often seen as a picture of the wine of the world and its enjoyments and pleasures compared with the wine of the love of God. And saying, your love is better than wine. Your love is better than the pleasures of the world. There's a pleasure found in you that is not found in the world and is far deeper and richer. Another way of summarizing this passage is to talk about the bridal cry. This calling for him to kiss with the kisses of his mouth is coming out of a hunger. a hunger to have love expressed to us, and we definitely need a hunger for God. This is expressing more than an intellectual question. It is coming from the heart, out of a hunger, of a passion, knowing that there is love there and I want to receive it. And hungering after that. Hunger is a gift. And you simply have to ask God for it. If you're crying out, but I'm not hungry, okay, well tell God that you're not hungry, and can He do something about it, please? God is always the initiator in our relationship. He's the one who always makes the first move. There is a hunger in my heart, and there's a hunger in many people's heart to know God as He really is. What is God like, actually? I mean, at an emotional level, do you fear Him? Are you sometimes come to Him and think, well, will He receive me, or won't He receive me? Will He reject me? Will He cast me off? Does He really want to have anything to do with me anymore? And these questions need to be resolved by knowing God as He really is. And one of the first things we need to know is that in the New Testament there's a quote, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today and forever. And then in Jeremiah there's a quote about His mercies being new every morning. The thing is that God is always the same, and He doesn't change His view of you. He never changes His view of you. You have been accepted in Jesus, and you have been put into Jesus, and what God puts remains put. If you're in Jesus, you are in Jesus, and it doesn't matter what emotional state you're in, God loves you and receives you. And when you begin to taste this love, you hunger for more. Let Him kiss me with the kisses of His mouth, for your love is better than wine. Because of the fragrance of your good ointments, your name is ointment poured forth. Therefore the virgins love you. Draw me away. We will run after you. Here is the expression of hunger again. Also desire to be taken out of the space we're in into a different space. Because often the space we're in, you talk about head space, well, that's the idea I'm putting across, is that our minds and hearts and heads are filled with the impressions of the environment around us. And often we need to call to the Lord that take me out of here, draw me away. And so the cry is, draw me away. And then the daughters of Jerusalem respond, we will run after you. And then there's a further revelation. This is what often been called the chamber revelation. And when God put me or you into Christ, we were given the ability to enter in to His chambers. Chambers are the intimate home area of the bridegroom, I guess. And we are brought into those chambers by Him. We actually haven't got to get in because we've already got in. And so often it's a matter of realization of what we have already, rather than trying to get what God has already given. The King has brought me into His chambers. The wonder of knowing that you've been brought into rooms that are so close to the heart of God. And the response of the daughters of Jerusalem is, we will be glad and rejoice in you. And that is the natural response of the heart to someone who knows what God has done for them. Their natural response is gladness and joy. And here it says, we will remember your love more than wine. That is, we will remember your love more than all the things of the world that are attracting us. We choose to remember God's love. At the end of verse 4 of Song of Songs 1, rightly do they love you. I am dark but lovely, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. Do not look upon me because I am dark, because the sun has tanned me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. This passage is the Shulamite speaking. In the midst of this blaze of the love of God, she becomes aware. The light falls on her, and she becomes aware of her own frailty and darkness. I am dark but lovely. I am dark but lovely. We have perhaps sometimes as Christians a dual confession. I'm dark, but you say I'm lovely. And there's a tension within as to which we're going with. Are we going to go with I am dark, or are we going to go with but I'm lovely? This part, this is where I need to introduce the Passion version of the Bible, because it's slightly different from this version that I have been using, which was the authorized version, I believe. Yeah. And certain things that are slightly different but are useful. I feel as dark and as dry as the desert tents of the wandering nomads. That's the Shulamite speaking. The shepherd king then speaks, yet you are so lovely, like the fine linen tapestry hanging in the holy place. And you have this contrast of two images, like the curtains of Solomon, which are dark, and he brings up this other image, fine linen tapestry hanging in the holy place. Now the things that hung in the holy place were all beautiful, wrought by hand, hand-woven and so on, and you couldn't get a deeper, more extreme expression of beauty in the presence of God than that. And so those two images are side by side, and very often we feel that tension within us. Okay, feel that tension within us. Because the sun has tanned me, my mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. How often this is true, that the average Christian in the average church. We've been made a keeper of vineyards. We've been asked to do this, that and the other, and we've dutifully responded, and we even almost have competition between us as to who is the busiest. But in the midst of all that, the inner secret place, the place of devotion to Christ, the place where we commune with Him, has been neglected for a long time. And this is a root cause of burnout in the church, is that people are burnt out running after all the things that they have to do and not having time for Jesus and themselves. Yeah, and I think we could, both of us, share quite a lot about that.